So, I'm making this video because, you know, I wanted to make a YouTube channel and put out there that I have MS. I'm going to be 26 in less than a week. I started MS, I started getting MS, let's rewind. I got MS in April 2014. My life has been a complete mess since then. Just in January 2016, I was able to drive, walk, hang out with my friends, do things that I wasn't able to do prior. Since April 2014, I was paralyzed from the belly button down for almost 11 months, or maybe more than 11 months. But then it was on and off. I was paralyzed, then I wasn't paralyzed, and I was paralyzed, and I wasn't paralyzed. I was in and out of rehabs. I was, I wasn't doing so well, and things were crazy for me. I didn't know how to deal with it either, because at that time I had lost all of my friends. None of my friends wanted to hang out with me or even come visit me to the hospital. But it's okay, you in these situations you realize who's going to be there for you and who's not going to be there for you. And in that section, it's better off to have nobody than to have somebody that doesn't really want to be there for you. My friends were only there for me when it was convenient. I did things for them like nobody could imagine. I did everything I possibly could for these people. And I really and truly thought they were my best friends. Hands down, I thought so. And then things just changed for me. I was in the hospital. How it happened was, I woke up one morning and I had vertigo. And I didn't drink the night prior, so I woke up and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? It feels like I'm drunk, but I didn't drink. And I had work, and I was a server, so that was a little bit of a mess. But I walked to work with my hands up because it was so bad I could hardly walk, so I had to do the whole woo thing. And in that time being, I got to work and I started serving and I dropped a bunch of stuff, and my boss was like, you know what, you gotta go home. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with me. I'm really sorry. This has never happened, blah, 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 because I didn't want to lose my job. So I went home, which was a house in West Philadelphia with 6 people. We were all cool people at the time, I thought. So I got home and I just smoked a lot of weed, to be honest with you. I think it was, it was 420, which was also Easter, the next day, or that day, I can't remember. But I just know that it was 420, and I just wanted to smoke as much as I possibly could because I wanted it to go away. But it in return only made it worse, and I kept telling my friends, like, something's going on, something's weird, I don't feel right, blah blah blah, and they just kind of dismissed it. I think they were worried at that time being, I don't really know, but so yes, I do smoke. So thing is, I think it was that day I went to my brother's house because they were having Easter dinner. So I went over and I was still, having vertigo. Things weren't right. I didn't feel right. So my mom had given me a motion sickness pill, which at that time seemed right. What's wrong with me? I'm just having vertigo. Maybe it's an inner ear problem. Things may be that way. So my parents had to drive me back to my place because I was having vertigo. And then after that, I just decided, let's smoke some more, whatever. My girlfriend at that time came over. She kind of was like, you know what, whatever, you gotta go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. I think it was the next morning. And I went to the hospital. She brought me. And at that point, my one eye was stuck straight. And then I couldn't see out of this eye because it was kind of like rolling around. And then my whole face on the right side drooped down, and they thought I was having a stroke. And at that time, they didn't have a neurologist on board or something along those lines. So it was like super like futuristic type style. They had a computer screen with this guy on it, and he was the neurologist. Apparently he was doing a videotape from home looking at me. They brought him in on this cart, and it was just this guy on a computer screen, and I'm talking to him off the computer screen, and he's trying to figure out what's wrong with me. But in my head, I was like, how do you figure out that type of thought when you're on a computer? But it was futuristic, so it was kind of cool at the same time, So then after that, after that, he told me I needed to stay, take tests, blah, blah. We did a million different tests. I had to have like 5 or 6 different spinal taps. I can't even tell you how many MRIs I had, CAT scans, blood tests, everything you could possibly imagine. I had it. And then, I had all those tests, and then I think it was maybe 5 days later, they were like, you know what, we cleared everything out, you got MS. And I was like, well, how do I have MS? How do you know it's MS for sure if, you don't even know what MS is, technically. And they said the way they figure out you have MS is if you have the symptoms and if you rule out everything else. That doesn't seem logical to me. It means that they just don't know what I got, and they're slapping it on MS. Which means, for me, I've been having problems ever since. Yeah, I'm gonna say I have MS, but the thing is, how do you know for sure? You don't know for sure. Anyway, so we did when they did the spinal taps and everything to show that you didn't have Lyme's disease, they sent out the tests to Minnesota at the, I can't think of the center, but it's very famous, and they do good work there. So anyway, they came back and said, you don't have Lyme's disease, you're fine with that. So they did another spinal tap just to be sure, I guess. Which let me tell you, that shit hurts. There's no good way to say that. I do want to say one thing. The woman afterwards who takes care of you after you get your spinal tap. It's like you get your spinal tap and then they put you in this separate room for afterwards, I guess. And so I was there. I was in the room, in the bed, and I was just kind of like, I guess, coming out of like a weird fog type of thing. And this woman, I will never forget her. This nice little Middle Eastern woman. She was wonderful. I mean, wonderful. She took care of me. She got me ice cream. She got me ice. She got me whatever I wanted. She was amazing. She was super nice to me. She took care of me. She actually seemed like she cared about me and my well-being, which was really cool because, you know, when you're in the hospitals and stuff, most hospital people don't really, they pretend, and you can tell they're pretending because they have to put on that hospitality type of thing. But good 20 out of 10 times, they don't give a fuck about you. So it felt good to be cared for and to have somebody be in my corner, you know. And so anyway, I got out of that, stayed in the hospital for quite some time. At that point, yeah, then I could not walk. I ended up in a wheelchair. Let's see. You know what? No, wait. I didn't end up in a wheelchair at that point yet. My legs went, and then I felt them again at that while I was still in the hospital, and I think that was in between like a month. And I felt them again. I was so stoked, you know. So maybe I could start to regain my life back, I guess you could say. And so this rehab lady came, and we did rehab stuff every day. And at one point, I did get up and walking, and I walked down the hallway of the hospital with a walker. I was so ecstatic, you know, everything was going right again, you know, in my head, my life was getting back to normal, I guess. And then all else fails, my legs. You know, my legs went again, and then I didn't know what to do, you know, I was really upset. I was yelling at everybody. I was mad. I didn't care about anybody's feelings except my own. I didn't want to have this. Like, I didn't really even know, honestly, what it was. Like, honestly, I thought, like, oh shit, I have MS, I'm gonna die. Like, how does this work, you know? Like, am I gonna die right now, or am I gonna die in 5 minutes, or what's gonna happen? Or like, what am I gonna get from this? So my mom and my stepdad were researching stuff, and not thank God, but thank God my uncle had already experienced some of this type of stuff, so he knew about some things. He didn't experience MS. He doesn't have MS. His son, which is my cousin, had a major... he was in Costa Rica on a missions trip to help build schools for kids, and he dove into a wave and broke his neck. I don't remember what specific spine damage that happened, but in Costa Rica they didn't really do things like they do here, so they fused his spine back, and it did something to the point where he can no longer walk ever again. I don't know if he was going to be able to walk ever again anyway, but they did fuck up. So anyway, when he got back into the United States, he was paralyzed. He is paralyzed from here down. He can move his arms, but he can't touch or grab or anything like that. So anyway, he has a lot of funds going on, by the way, just saying. So he does a lot of good stuff. He's also in a band. He's made his life perfect. Or not perfect, obviously, because nobody's life is perfect, but he's made it the way he had wanted it, or the way he wants it now after the things. Because the things that I wanted before I got sick are really not the things that I want now in life. I think a little bit differently, and I feel a little bit differently than I did before. So yeah, anyway, let me get back to my story. I don't even remember where I am, so I'm gonna pause this, smoke a cigarette, and come back.